Hello everyone, we are finally back with another character series. We are working on my boy Dhalsim, the yoga master, who I did get to master a while back, but I have been very busy with other things, so I haven't got around to this video series, but it is time. We will be following the same method we did for Ryu, so we'll be going through each rank sequentially. I'm going to have this guide for rookie, iron, beginners in general, and then we'll move up through bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. I won't be doing it individual grades at a time because I think Dhalsim is actually a little bit simpler to explain than Ryu in a lot of cases, and also because that just takes me too long. So we will have whole videos with about 5 things per video as you go up the ranks, and I might have a couple of extra videos on like Dhalsim matchup guides and things like that. Alright, so let's get into my boy Dhalsim. So what kind of character is Dhalsim? Dhalsim is a pure zoner. He is the most pure zoner that currently exists in Street Fighter 6. What that means is that he is a wall, so you will be putting out your fireballs and your long range limbs, and you'll be trying to keep your opponent away and push them back and throw them across the screen so that they have to fight their way to get closer to you, and when they do get close to you, you will teleport behind them. So he's a very frustrating character to play. He sets up a wall and he sets up an obstacle course with all his weird fireballs, and he's quite frustrating to play against in that way. But his main weakness is that once people do get in on you and they're in your face, he has very little in the way of defense. So he's very reliant on drive reversal. That's not drive reversal, that's drive impact. We'll talk about drive reversal in a bit. He's very reliant on drive reversal to get out of trouble, and pretty much his only reversal on wake up is his level 3 super, this one. And that means that it's very easy to put pressure on Dhalsim once you're in his face, and defending with Dhalsim is an art form. And we won't really talk about it till gold, I would say. Each video I'm going to have one little defensive mechanic, but you shouldn't need hardcore defensive stuff with Dhalsim until you get to about platinum, and people start drive rushing at you a lot, and then you need all sorts of stuff with Dhalsim. But all in good time. Is Dhalsim a good beginner character? Yes and no. So on the one hand, Dhalsim's execution is very complicated. So you have to be able to do stuff like this. It's not all that difficult, but then you also have to do stuff like this, which is not that straightforward. And generally, a lot of his moves require quite big motions on the joypad, quite big motions on the hitbox. And so getting his execution clean is very difficult, especially when you start doing a lot of the jump float stuff, this kind of thing, right? Because jump float requires you to jump, float, and then press another button all in about 2 seconds, and similar for the drill, also requires a lot of execution. So execution wise, he's quite intensive. Also at the higher grades, like once you get to platinum, you'll be doing a lot of floats and then reacting to what your opponent does. So if they just charge at you, then you can use the foot to stop them. If they're holding back, you can use the palm to stop them. And if they jump, you can use the heavy kick, which is probably my favorite thing in all of Dhalsim's arsenal. So he requires really good reactions and a good awareness of what your opponent is doing, but that's only really the case in platinum. Up to platinum, I actually think Dhalsim is super easy. Super easy. One of the most powerful characters, one of the most brain-dead characters, a character that no one really knows how to deal with, and so you better get ready for people to just one and done you in ranks because they don't want to keep playing the game because it was boring for them. So I think he is actually a pretty beginner-friendly character, and I don't think you should be dissuaded from the fact that the game says that he's a hard character to play from playing Dhalsim. And if you follow this guide, you will have no trouble winning your way up to platinum, I don't think. Alright, so what we're going to talk about in this video is his buttons and knowing your ranges, which is extremely important with Dhalsim. We're going to be talking about anti-airing, which is one of his weaknesses. Like for a zoner, he has pretty weak anti-airs, and you often just have to let yourself get jumped in on. We're going to talk about his fireball trap, which is an unusual fireball trap, but very powerful. We're going to talk about this combo, which is Dhalsim's bread and butter combo, and is going to be a huge part of what gets you up to the high levels. And we're going to talk about drive reversal. So it shouldn't take too long, and we're going to have, as in all our videos, we're going to explain a tactic, we're going to talk about how to integrate it into a game plan, and then we're going to give you some drills to practice. All right, let's get into it. So let's talk about his buttons first, and Dhalsim obviously has 1,000,001 buttons. So if you go into training mode and you go into the command list, you will see that he has quite a lot of special moves, just the usual 3 super arts, but then so many unique attacks. So Dhalsim has an absolutely colossal number of things that he can do. He even has an extra throw, the yoga splash, where you press down and throw, which is quite important. So we need to talk about all of these, but we're not going to talk about them now. We're going to introduce them gradually. We're going to talk about only his main buttons. So light punch, medium punch, which is a very important one, heavy punch, heavy kick, medium kick, and light kick. All right, the others aren't that important. Well, they're very important, but you start to use them later. So Dhalsim's basic game plan is just to use the long limbs, right? So let's talk about that. So what you always want to do is press the button that will just reach your opponent. So at this neutral spot at the start of the round, you can get medium punch out, or you can get medium kick will just fall short. So you want to be a little bit forward and you get medium kick. Okay. Right. If you press heavy punch when you're this close, then you're going to take ages to recover because you're going to hit him halfway through the motion. And that's going to give your opponent an opportunity to walk towards you and cause mischief. So you only want to press that heavy punch when you're full screen like that, right? Similarly with heavy kick, you want to press it only when it's going to clip him in the head like that. So our first and most important drill is to get used to the ranges of our buttons. Light kick is the last one you want, and you also want to use crouch medium punch, holding down and pressing medium punch. These are very important, light kick and crouch medium punch. In fact, we will have a whole drill just on those two. So what you want to practice this is you want to go into your recording settings. You want to record Akuma walking, or Kami. The reason why we use Akuma or Kami is because they are the fastest moving characters in the game, and so they're going to force us to be quite precise in our button choice. And we just want to record one where they move back and forth and then forward, like this. Back and forward, yeah. And then another one where they move back and forth and backwards. Right, and then one where they just move forwards. That's it. Okay. Once we've got those 3 down, we turn them all on. Don't turn this one on. And then activate that recording. How do you activate the recording? So you want to go here into shortcut settings. And then you want to set shortcuts for restart battle. That's going to take you back to the neutral. Save status. That's going to save where you are in practice mode. So if you've like just finished a dragon punch and you're in midair and you press save status, then when you replay save status, then it's going to take you back to that exact moment. And this will allow us to set up a bunch of training scenarios, and then we want this sequence play recording. Now you might also want to go to the recording settings and turn repeat replay either to on or even to always repeat playback. Now always repeat playback means that anytime you restart the training or return to save state, it will immediately start playing recordings. So it can get a bit annoying actually to have always repeat playback on, but if you don't have it on, if you just have repeat replay on, then each time you go back to the start, you will have to reactivate the replay, and then it will just keep playing the replays. So for now, let's put it on always repeat playback. Let's go back to the start. So you can go to restart battle and environment settings. That will take you back here. Use your shortcut to save state. And then now whenever you return to save state, you will always come back to this situation. And now we want to press start replay. And now Akuma will just be moving around, right? And we want to practice choosing the right button to hit him at the edge of our movement, all right? If he's too far away, that's not really a problem. The problem is when we hit him like that, where he's actually too close, okay? All right, if he gets really close, then we want to use the medium punch, but generally, the crouch medium punch or the light kick, but generally we want to keep him away from us like this, all right? This is a pretty simple drill. You just want to practice this for maybe 10 minutes and you'll get a handle on Dhalsim's main buttons. And crouch medium punch is your main button. Like, believe me, this is the button you want. If he gets really close, then you can use crouching light punch as well. which is your mashing button. But mostly we're just going to be using crouch medium punch and medium kick. Medium kick's a real nice one because it's quite fast at 12 frames. Medium punch is 14 frames, but it does go further, right? And just be practicing that one. Pretty easy stuff. You can throw a fireball in occasionally if you feel like it. All right, that's the whole drill. All right, we're just going to do that for about 10 minutes until you feel comfortable with Dhalsim's buttons. All right, and then we want to come back to the neutral. I've got always repeat playback on. So we just want to come back to the neutral there. All right, so that's our most basic drill. The next thing we want to practice is crouch medium punch and light kick. The reason why we want to practice these two buttons is because they are drive impact cancelable. So in the early stages of the game, all the way through to like low diamond, people will just be drive impacting all the time, constantly. And they will be particularly doing it against Dhalsim because a lot of Dhalsim's buttons are beatable with drive impact. So if you press drive impact just as Dhalsim is pushing this one out, then you will smash him before he recovers, which is what makes this button kind of risky. Another reason why this one's kind of risky is because if your opponent blocks it and you press it twice, and they jump after the first one, then they're going to beat you. Let's have a look at that. So if I go to block reversal settings and I put forward jump on, so I want to go here to common actions and put forward jump as my option. And then we have that turned on. And now in the dummy settings, so we're learning a bit how to use practice mode, we want to put the dummy to block all. Now if I press medium punch once and stop, I have plenty of time to anti-air him. But if I press it twice, then he's going to get to hit me easily, no problem, right? So generally we only press medium punch once, and then we wait to see what our opponent does. Similarly with medium kick, there's no way I can get that anti-air out, and I can't even block in time, right? So it's very dangerous to press these two buttons in a row, whereas medium punch is a lot safer. You can't get the anti-air out, but you can block in time. Right, just about block in time. The more important thing with medium punch though, is that if we put Akuma in block reversal to do drive impact, then we can easily drive impact in time. Whereas it's a lot harder with medium punch, but it's particularly hard when your opponent's just doing it raw. So let's go to reversal after damage and turn drive impact on there. And now we're just going to press medium punch twice and try to get the drive impact out. Right. But I didn't even press the second medium punch, right? Yeah. So no way. If you press the drive that twice, you're going to get beat. But I didn't get beat when I pressed crouch medium punch. And that's because crouch medium punch is what we call special cancelable, which means that you can cancel it into another move, and in particular you can cancel it into your own drive impact. So if you hit your opponent and they try to drive impact you like that, you will be able to cancel your medium punch into drive impact. And that's how you beat their drive impact. Now what we're going to be doing in a lot of the drills here down in Rookie, Iron and Beginner is just practicing countering our opponent's drive impact. All right, so that's what we want to do here. We want to have reversal after damage set to drive impact. We want to have block reversal set to drive impact. And we want to go over to the dummy settings and we want to put block onto random. Okay, and now we're just going to mash medium punch and try to react to drive impacts. There we go. Nice. Now we also need a punish for drive impact. Okay, so if we beat the drive impact and our opponent just falls down, that's not so good. We did 960 damage, that's pretty good, but we should really be punishing them for drive impacting us. So what I want you to practice, and this is pretty hard, this is one of the harder drive impact responses of any character in the game. Once you see your opponent get hit by the drive impact, you've got to dash forward. So you press forward twice in quick succession. Then you're going to press down back heavy punch. Yeah. And after that, you're going to cancel the down back heavy punch into medium blast. This one. Okay. So a cancel means that you don't recover from the move. So when I press this, you see how Dhalsim's limbs need to retract, and then he's ready to press another button, right? But when you cancel, his limbs don't retract. We just go straight into the next move, right? Something like that. Okay, so you can see how the frames don't recover. He just has these straight arms and then he goes straight into the flame. In this exercise, we want to go into blast. Okay, yoga blast. That would be very, very important later, but don't worry about it for now. Why we do blast and not flame? But just trust me that we want yoga blast. All right, so when we get the drive impact, dash up, crouch, down back heavy punch into yoga blast. Okay, not flame, blast. All right, now if you want to practice just that, then what I would suggest you do is that we set up another couple of recordings, which we're going to use shortly, where we have Akuma jump and then do drive impact. Okay, that's it. And now we turn these ones off, the movement ones, and we just have Akuma do that. And now you can practice that exercise. Dash up, down back heavy punch, blast. All right, now keep practicing that until you can do it 10 out of 10 times, and then swap sides and do it there as well. Dash up. Nice. So now we did 2,440 damage, which is a lot of damage to punish Akuma's drive impact. And once we got that, then we go back to our previous drill. Let's turn that off. We've got our reversal settings. Block reversal, he's going to drive impact. Reversal after damage, he's going to drive impact. And then we want to have dummy settings on random. And we're just going to mash medium punch. Sometimes Akuma's going to block and then he's going to do drive impact. Sometimes he's going to get hit and then he's going to drive impact. We just keep mashing our medium punch and we get used to drive impacting, and then we're going to make it a tiny bit more complicated. But make sure we've got this drill down. Bonk. Nice. Well, just keep mashing that medium punch. So you want to press it twice. Alright, because you want to get used to cancelling the drive impact. Cancelling the drive rush. Boom. Cancelling the medium punch, I meant to say. Nice. So once you've done that for like 5 minutes, then swap sides. And make sure you can do it on the other side as well. Nice. All right, now to make it a little bit more complicated, we're going to go into the reversal settings, and we're also going to turn on backwards for 5 frames. So again, you go into common actions, you find backwards, and you put backwards on for 5 frames. What that basically means is that after Akuma gets damaged, he's going to block for about 5/60ths of a second, right? So not for very long. And you want to do the same thing in block reversal. You want to turn backwards on for 5 frames. And what this means essentially is that sometimes he's going to drive impact and sometimes he's not. And we again just go back to mashing. So you see there, he didn't do it the first time, but he did do it the second time. And this is just going to help us build reactions. Now, obviously, I've been playing this game for like 500 hours, so I've got pretty good reactions to drive impact. You might find that you are less successful, but this is the most important exercise in this early stage of the game. So you have Akuma moving around and you're doing your long buttons, and then you come in and you practice just these ones. All right, it's really important that you have your light kick and your crouch medium punch into drive impact on lock, right? Because that's how you're going to battle in close range. All right, now once you've got those two things down, then we're going to go into our previous drill again, and we're going to turn on the 3 moving things that Akuma was doing, and we're also going to record him just doing drive impact. So just activate this recording and immediately record drive impact. All right, that's it. Let's try it one more time. Nice. All right, and now we're going to turn those on and just have Akuma moving around. And we want to try to react to his occasional drive impacts. Whoops, sorry. We need to turn on always repeat playback. Whoops, see, I got into trouble there because I was pressing medium. And now it's going to be a lot harder to react to this drive impact, so don't beat yourself up if you don't. Right, and just keep trying to get those ranges right. Keep Akuma out of your space. If he gets close, then we want to use those buttons that we can cancel. And we're trying to react to his drive impact. He's not doing it. Ooh, I nearly had that. I'm telling you. There we go. All right, keep practicing that. One other thing you want to practice is when you do the heavy kick, try to cancel it into a light fireball. All right, and that way if they get hit by the heavy kick, you also get the fireball afterwards. Don't let him get close. Ooh, see there, my medium punch had recovered too much and I wasn't able to cancel it anymore. And that's going to happen and it's going to be frustrating, but you've just got to accept it. Oh, I swear I pressed there. Oh, I was a little bit late. Oh, he's really coming at me now, isn't he? There we go. All right, so that's the idea, and you just want to practice this for a long time. I mean, like at least 10 minutes on either side as you get into the game. All right, once we've got that down, we need to work on the second most important part of Dhalsim. So remember that Dhalsim is a wall and an obstacle course. So we've got the walls set up, or we've at least started to set up our wall with these different long buttons. But if I'm really dominating the horizontal range with Dhalsim like this, then what my opponent is going to do, especially if I've shut down their drive impacts, is they're going to jump at me. All right, so the next thing we need to practice is perhaps the most important thing in all of beginner Street Fighter, which is your anti-airs. So now we need to go back into the recording settings, and we're just going to record Akuma jumping neutral, so jumping straight up and then jumping forward like this. Right, and use heavy punch. The reason why we want to use heavy punch is because it goes on a much stronger downward angle, right? And so it's harder to anti-air it. All right. Once we've got that, we want to use back medium punch. All right. That's going to be our most basic anti-air. Now this is pretty easy. You should have no real trouble doing this. What you want to do is also practice cancelling that back medium punch into heavy yoga flame. Now the opponent can just block when they land, right? So this isn't going to do damage, but it will damage their drive gauge, and there's nothing they can do about it because yoga flame hits 3 times, so it breaks drive impact. Okay, so we just want to get into that habit, but don't get into it on autopilot, right? So sometimes you want to do it and sometimes you don't. The reason for that is that later on, as you get more advanced, you also want to do things like light yoga fire like that. And sometimes you're going to want to do light yoga flame because your opponent will parry. So they want to avoid the drive gauge damage that you just did. And you'll see them parrying. And if they parry, they get frozen on the spot and they take more throw damage. So then if we bait them with the light yoga flame, then there we'll be able to throw them. Right. So make sure we practice this on both sides. Sometimes we do heavy yoga flame, sometimes we don't. And then the last thing you're going to want to do occasionally, but again, this is more advanced, is that we're just going to want to run at people with drive rush, right? But for now, all you want to practice is occasionally doing yoga flame and occasionally not doing it, okay? Often people will land after this and do drive impact on you, so be ready for that. And often people will land and do uppercuts straight away. So often it's very helpful to just and block, right? Sometimes you want to throw them, right? If you think they're going to land right in front of you, and you want to default to the splash, down and throw, right? Because then they're so far away from you, it should be very easy for you to set up your wall again. But often we just go backwards. Ooh. Yoga. Alright, now this isn't Dhalsim's only anti-air. He also has this one, back heavy kick, which does more damage and builds more drive meter, but is slower. It's 14 frames. It goes straight up, which is really nice. But I think generally you just don't see this one used as much because it's slower. Whereas this one's 8 frames. And so I basically never used this one on my climb to master. I do see pros use it very occasionally, but like 90% of the time, this is your anti-air. There is one that you do need though, which is back heavy punch. Right, now the problem with back heavy punch, so it's also 14 frames and you need to get it out really early. Otherwise you'll get stuffed like we got stuffed there. And sometimes the hands will also just miss, as we saw. The reason why we need to get used to using this is because of people using dive kicks. So Akuma has a dive kick. Let's have a look. This one. Oops. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right, now when you see Akuma do that nonsense, or when you see him do his air fireball, that's when you want to use this one. Right, now the other reason why we want to use this one is because it converts into this combo, which is a completely insane amount of damage to get off an anti-air. Right, and we get full Oki off it, but that's very advanced. We're going to cover this in gold. Okay? But for now, we just want to get used to using hands when we can. So let's turn that off. Let's go back to our... I'm even going to delete that one so I don't forget it. And we just want to go back to Akuma jumping at us. And occasionally we want to do the big hands. Alright. Alright. Occasionally medium punch. Occasionally the hands, and make sure you can do this on both sides. All right, once you've got that down, turn on the recording we made earlier where Akuma jumps and then does drive impact, and now you have a bit more to react to. All right, jump. Ooh. Now this is hard, fam. Like, as I said, I have played 500 hours of this game. So my reactions to this sort of shenanigans are pretty good. But if you are new to Street Fighter, your reactions will not be good. And so you will get hit by this stuff a lot. And that's why we're practicing it. Right, remember to respond with your drive impacts punish. Nice. Don't let him hit you in the air. And once you can do this 5 minutes with few mistakes on both sides, then we're ready for the next exercise. And the next exercise will be to change these two so that instead of just jumping straight up in the air, Akuma will instead jump forwards. So let's have a look at that. So we already have a recording of Akuma doing drive impact in the neutral. Now we also want to have a recording of Akuma just jumping in the neutral. Sorry, I had him walk forward too much there. Right, and now we turn those two on. So he's going to jump sometimes, he's going to drive impact sometimes, and he's going to walk around sometimes. And now we want to turn it on again, and then go back to our previous drill where we were just trying to keep Akuma away, right? Oh, he was too close for me to do that there, I shouldn't have. Right, and then he'll jump occasionally and he'll drive impact occasionally, and we want to try to beat those. Right. Nice. Good. Alright. Remember, you can backdash. It's quite important with Dhalsim to build space that you occasionally want to backdash. See, I try not to press medium punch twice in a row, right? I do it occasionally because I'm a scrub. Oh, see there again, the medium punch had recovered too much, so I wasn't able to cancel it anymore. Oosh, I got hit. So we got a punish counter there. We'll talk about that a bit later. Let's try to fight our way out of this corner. Oh, see, I shouldn't have gone for the anti-air there. Sometimes you have to realize that you were just too late, right? There's no way for you to get your medium punch out in time before Akuma hits you. And so what you need to do then, I nearly recovered. All right, but anyway, just be doing this drill again for 10 minutes before you start playing. And this, you now have most of Dhalsim's game plan, right? So you've got your anti-airs. See there, I shouldn't have gone for the anti-air. I was too slow. Remember to use light kickers. Oh, so I'm in trouble. All right. Oh, too slow. Oh, there again, I was too slow, right? So if you're late, then just block. Don't try to, yeah, see, that's what you need to do there. You need to realize that you're too late and you need to block. With Ryu and other characters, that's not the case. You can always get your Dragon Punch out because Dragon Punch is invincible to air attacks, but Dhalsim's little medium punch is not. But you can still beat people with it pretty effectively. And very occasionally you'll be able to get the heavy hands, right? And we do want to get in the habit of using both. Oh, see, that was too slow for the heavy hands there. Oh, do you see how much recovery there is on the long arms? That even if they drive impact you from like down across the screen, they'll still hit you. All right. So we've got almost all the building blocks of Dhalsim's game plan. We've got two more things to add. The big one is the fireball trap. So let's start with that. Let's make sure we turn always repeat playback off. And let's talk about Dhalsim's fireballs for a bit. So Dhalsim has a lot of fireballs. The one you want to use by default is light fireball. The reason for that is that light fireball travels really, really slowly. So you can walk behind it like this and recover space. And it's also the case that by the time they block it, you have well and truly recovered from the animation to put the fireball on the screen. So if they block and then jump, you'll be able to do the anti-air. Let's have a look at that. So block reversal, we're just going to put him on forward jump. Oops, sorry. Forward jump. So now we're at the range that you are at the start of the match. If I do 2 light fireballs in a row, I can get my anti-air off, right? It's very hard for Akuma to attack me from that position if I'm using light fireball. In contrast, if I do heavy fireballs, sorry, we need to put the dummy now onto block all. If I do heavy fireball, it's much harder for me to recover in time before he gets the jump off because the fireball travels quickly. So generally we want light fireball, and that allows us to get prepared for our anti-air, right? And you can do 2 light fireballs in a row as long as you've got some decent distance, okay? About the distance that you are at the start of the match. If you are closer than that, you can only do 1 fireball, right? And often what you want to do there is 1 fireball and then crouch medium punch, right? Or just chill, right? And see if they jump at you. Oh, again, I had already started recovering. All right, so that's our most basic one, the light fireball. As people get more advanced and they start using parries and that sort of thing, we want to occasionally mix in a heavy fireball just to upset their timing. But by default, we're going to be using light fireball. The next piece of our obstacle course is jump light comet or forward jump light comet, right? Because when Dhalsim does the comet, it pushes him back a bit. So if you jump straight up, you're going to be gradually giving up ground. Whereas if you jump forward and do it, then you're not going to give up as much ground. Now you might be wondering, why do we do light comet when it dies like that before before it reaches our opponent? Why wouldn't we do heavy comet, which travels all the way? The reason is that if your opponent jumps after you, if you do light fireball light comet, then you will catch your opponent jumping. If you do light fireball, heavy comet, then they'll often jump over it. It depends on their arc. So you can see that Akuma's getting caught. But generally speaking, light fireball is much more of a trap on the jump, so people won't be able to jump at you quite as effectively. Right? And if we do straight jump, medium fireball, that also works. So forward jump, light fireball, jumping straight up and medium fireball, and if you jump backwards, then you can do heavy comet, right? The other thing that we should talk about just briefly now is OD comet, where you press 2 punches. And the reason why OD comet is insanely powerful is not because it does 2 hits, but because you can teleport afterwards. Right, this is crazy good. We're going to talk about it in gold a bit more, maybe silver, but probably in gold. For now, you don't need to worry about it, but generally speaking, I don't like to do too many comets. I tend to only do OD comets because as players get better, they'll know how to like drive rush around your comets, and then you'll be in trouble if you don't have teleport available as an escape. So in general, Dhalsim's fireball obstacle course is the light fireball light comet, or the light fireball medium comet jumping straight up. Light fireball, medium comet, all right? And you just put those out there, and then every now and then you want to do the arch, which is the fireball motion and kick. And generally speaking, you want to use medium arch. The reason for that is that if your opponent jumps, they're going to get hit by the medium arch, right? Okay, now then, one thing we want to practice is converting hits off fireballs into juggles with our normal attacks. Now, this is something that you'll just develop as a Dhalsim player over time, but I want to demonstrate it here. I suggest that you practice it a little bit in training mode, just so that you start to recognize opportunities for it in matches. So in order to do it, what we want to do is just put Dhalsim to random block. We want to make sure in reversals that he's sometimes going to forward jump, he's sometimes going to just block. And same on reversal after damage. He's sometimes going to just block, and he's sometimes going to forward jump. And the reason why we want him to forward jump is both so that we can practice our anti-airs, and so that if we do the arch, he'll get hit by the arch, all right? And now we just want to do our yoga fire. And sometimes if you see that he gets hit by it, you can just follow up with your medium punch. All right, just like that, right? So we don't always want to be just pelting fireballs out there. Sometimes we want to mix our limbs in. Right, and see there it was a 2-hit combo. So you got hit by the fireball, and then I also managed to follow up with my medium punch. Now this is especially the case off yoga arch, right? So sometimes if I get yoga arch, then I can hit him on the way down. Let's have a look if I just put him on just forward jump after damage, and I put him on block nothing. So if I do a fireball, right, then I can also get the heavy kickoff. And that's quite a lot of damage, 1400 damage. Nothing to be sniffed at, right? But you've got to make sure that you get the timing on the follow-up down. Oh, nice. And now he's all the way back across the other side of the screen, and that really does a lot of mental damage to your opponent. So they thought, oh, I've understood his little fireball pattern on the ground, so I'm going to jump, and then he gets hit by the arch. He might even be reacting to your arch animation because he thinks that's a fireball, and then you just roast him in the air, and you hit him on the way down, and now he's all the way on the other side of the screen. Right? A lot of big mental damage there. So to practice that, initially, you can go into the reversal settings and just have your opponent forward jump occasionally or just block occasionally, and same on block, forward jump or backwards for 5. And then just be mixing in limbs occasionally and mixing in straight into the arch and practicing what to do when your opponent gets hit. Right? Now, one last thing I want to talk about with the arch is that the arch covers in front of you, so it's a good way to gain some space by sliding in behind it, because if you walk, you're very slow, whereas slide is much stronger. The problem with this is that your opponent can do drive impact and smack you, right? So it is a little bit dangerous, and I wouldn't do it all the time, but it is a way to gain space when you're all the way over here. And same with Yoga Fire, you can just follow it in. As you get more advanced, you'll do this, right? Because that's a really nice way to gain space, is the drill. But right now you just want to walk in behind it, right? When you arch, you can slide in behind it, because if you hit them with the arch and the slide, then you can do that combo from the combo trials, which is really quite a tasty combo. To be really safe about it, what you want to do is do OD Yoga Arch with the light kick and the heavy kick, this one. The reason why Yoga Arch is great in the OD is because it's 2 hits. So if you do OD Arch and slide, then your opponent will get hit 3 times, which will break their drive impact, right? And so they can't drive impact against this. And you can just walk in behind it, you can slide in behind it, and it's totally safe. It sets up a nice combo too, if they don't block it, okay? So Yoga Arch, slide, gets hit, medium Yoga Flame, right? 2,200 damage, really tasty, but the main thing you use it for is not the combos, it's just to give yourself space, okay? Because often Dhalsim will be getting slowly pushed into the corner, and you don't want to find yourself in the corner, and so you can use the arch to get there, all right? Let's recap his fireball trap. So light fireballs from this kind of range. If your opponent's closer than that, generally you just want to be using your limbs, and you want to be using mostly crouch medium punch, but occasionally you want to set up the fireballs, right? And then you've got medium comet, forward jump light comet, light fireball, forward jump light fireball, and back jump heavy comet. But generally speaking, you don't want to back jump, you don't want to give up that much space, okay? And then every now and then, I don't know, every third time on average, because you've got to be random, you can't be predictable, you want to throw in the arch just to make it more difficult for your opponent to jump in on you, okay? All right, once you've done that, you can go back into the drill that we have been doing a lot of, where we have Akuma walk around and either jump or drive impact. And now instead of just using our limbs, we also want to use our fireballs, and we want to get used to walking in behind our fireballs. Why isn't he moving around? Oh, because it's not on repeat. All right. Oops, sorry, you don't know drive rushes yet. Oh, nice. We got him on the drive impact. All right, set up the fireball. Set up the fireball. Comets. Arch. Yoga Arch. Oh shit, that's what we really don't want to happen in a match as well. So we don't want to arch too often. Oh shh, we got wrecked. Damn, Akuma's walk speed is so fast, bro, for real. Alright, so we're just doing that, and now we've also got our fireballs in there. Whoops, sorry. Oh, I was a bit slow that time. Oosh, we got jumped in on. Alright, but you get the idea. Alright, and now it is time for us to cover the 2 final things that are pretty quick. Alright, so what we've covered so far is just setting up Dhalsim's basic game plan, which is to be a wall, right? So we're using our long limbs, we're using our fireball obstacle course. Now these things will chip away at our opponent's life bar, right? If you get a heavy kick off, it does 800 damage. If you get a fireball off, it does 600 damage. That's quite significant. Medium punch, 600 damage, right? So gradually this will add up. But every now and then we need to hit our opponent with some really beefy damage, and it's quite hard for Dhalsim to do beefy damage. He usually just chips away at our opponent. There's one exception, or one very easy exception, that will carry you through the early rounds, and that's this. Boom! 3,220 damage with almost no effort, right? So all this is you jump, and then you teleport forward with 3 punches. So that takes you behind your opponent. Now, most people in the low grades don't know how to anti-air anyway, so they especially don't know how to anti-air when you're jumping behind them. And then we want to press heavy punch as we fall. And that is plus 16. You can see that at the bottom there in the blue, plus 16. That means we have 16 frames to do a follow-up move. This is a 10 frame startup button, so we can combo into that heavy punch. And then we either just do a medium yoga fire, or yoga flame, sorry, that one. And that will always combo from any range, or better, we do the OD yoga flame, and then we can combo into level 1 super. The Yoga Inferno. And that's going to be the main use of your super meter all the way until platinum. Like, we basically just use level 1 super. It's one of the nicest things about Dhalsim is that he often gets to use his level 1 super to do a lot of damage. And this combo will basically just carry you through a lot of stuff. You should especially look for opportunities when your opponent is doing stuff that's very committal. So with Akuma, for example, a lot of Akuma players will just be doing this. All right, and you can even practice for yourself putting that move into the drill that we were doing before. And when you see Akuma do that move, then you just jump and do the teleport because he's really committed to that move. Okay. All right, so just be doing the drill that we were doing before, but now we've also got Akuma jumping, doing drive impacts, occasionally doing that kick move, and we are going to just be doing our usual tactics of moving around, throwing fireballs, but occasionally we're also going to teleport at him, right? So you want to practice this drill, you want to practice this combo with Akuma just stationary until you can do it full combo from both sides. 10 times in a row without stuffing it up. See, I stuffed it up there. So let's make sure that we can do it. And one tip on execution is that you want to complete the OD flame and then input level 1 super. So we're not cancelling the OD flame into level 1 super, we are linking it. So what that means is that he does recover from this move, and then we put the buttons in, right? Whereas everything else in the combo is a cancel. So cancel, 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 link. Nice. And once you can do that off both sides 10 times in a row without mistakes, then it's time to go into the drill. We've got to put always repeat playback on, and we're doing our drill again. But now we're really realistic. We're occasionally, why isn't he moving towards us? What's going on? And now you've got a fully frustrating Dhalsim, right? A Dhalsim that is putting up the obstacle course, using the big limbs, and then just when you think you're in on him, he teleports away and hits you with that huge damage combo. All right, so that honestly, I think if you can get that down, those 4 drills, those 4 exercises all put into one, where you're countering jump-ins, you're countering drive impacts, you've got your buttons going out, you've got a nice little fireball trap set up, and you occasionally get this combo off for big damage, then you will go to platinum. Like, it really doesn't take much more than that. The one last thing we want to talk about for now already in the low grades is drive reversal, which is our main defensive tool. So let's do that for a second. So how does drive reversal work? Well, what I want to show you is we're going to put Akuma to block reversal, heavy punch. So let's do this one. We go to his normal moves and we just want him to do heavy punch like this. I'm going to put that on here. So, and then if I put the dummy to block, now he should follow up with a heavy punch like that. And I just did the drive reversal. So the drive reversal does grey health, so it's not really about doing damage. And if it gets blocked, we're in big trouble. Right, but you can see it does a bit of grey health damage, but the main thing is that it knocks Akuma really far away from me. Right, it's super frustrating for your opponent to finally get in on Dhalsim, and then for you to just slap them away. So what we need to do to get a drive reversal is to press, is to be blocking, and then press forward and drive impact. So forward and heavy punch, heavy kick, and then we're going to knock them away from us. Now the important thing and why I've put Akuma to do heavy punch, and why it might be even more realistic to put him to do heavy kick, is because drive reversal only works on heavy buttons. Right. If you do it on a medium button, it's possible for Akuma to block. So let's put him on crouch medium punch, which is something that Akumas use a lot. See, it's like impossible for me to get the drive reversal out in time before Akuma is able to block it, and drive reversal is -6. Right, so it's easy for him to follow up with another medium punch and get punish counter on me and start a huge combo. So we want to try to go into block reversal, and we're going to put all sorts of different moves in here. And it's a good idea to repeat this with many different characters so that you know what their heavy moves are and what their medium moves are. So we're going to use unique attack, forward heavy punch for Akuma. Skull Splitter is his overhead, so I think Kikoku combination is his forward heavy punch, is that right? Yeah, that one. So Akumas will use that a lot to create space, and if you've got it right, you will get punish counter, because that means that you hit them with the drive reversal before they recovered from their button. So you can see I've got punish counter there on the left hand side of the screen. So have him do Kikoku combination, crouching medium punch, heavy kick. What are some other ones that Akumas tend to throw out a lot? Heavy, just regular old heavy punch, and then maybe a light punch or a light kick, maybe. All right. And now we want to get close to them, save state. And we're just going to try to recognize which button he's done, right? So heavy kick is a bit annoying because if you crouch block it, you can actually punish it. See there, I was too slow, right? So if you do it too slow, he'll be able to recover in time. But we just want to recognize when he does a heavy button and do our drive impact. Sorry, a drive reversal. And if he doesn't do a heavy button like that, then we don't want to do it, because then he'll either block or we'll get drive impact, which is very bad. You can also do this when when anyone jumps on you. And in the low levels, people won't know how to do anything about this. Right? So people will often autopilot into their combo after they get a jump in, so you can just drive reversal them off you. And this is all you should really need as far as defense goes. Just know how to block, and when your opponent has finished their block string, you can do something like this to create space for yourself. Right, now they're back out and you can start using your limbs again. Right, when it's your turn, take your turn with heavy punch. But if someone gets in close to you and hits you with a heavy button, just hit them with the drive reversal and get them off you. You can wake up with drive reversal, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just wake up blocking, and that should get you through. If someone is smart enough to do interesting things on wake up, where sometimes they block, sometimes they throw, sometimes they punch, then you're gonna have a hard time. And then you might want to just wake up mashing sometimes, for example. You want to use this. This is Dhalsim's fastest button, so sometimes you can wake up with this combo, right? Right, but generally speaking, just wake up blocking, and every now and then wake up with that. All right, later on, as we get more advanced, we basically never want to wake up mashing jab, but in these low grades you can. All right, let's summarize what we've talked about. So, number one, we talked about knowing the ranges of Dhalsim's buttons and always trying to catch our opponent at the very tip. So just with our foot or just with our fists, right? And then once they get close, we really want to use crouch medium punch and light kick because we can cancel them into drive impact, right? And then we talked about this basic drive impact punish. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about the drive impact punish in bronze. Then we talked about the anti-air, so using back medium punch, occasionally cancelling back medium punch into heavy yoga flame, right? But also occasionally just not, because sometimes our opponents will try to drive impact when they land, and then we can drive impact them back, or they'll try to do uppercuts, and then we can block and punish them. We'll talk about that in bronze. And sometimes you can also do light fireball and they will land on it. And sometimes you can do throw, but you should only do the throw if they're very close to you, right? Because Dhalsim walks really slowly, so it's quite hard to get the throw off. But sometimes they will be very close to you afterwards, and then we can get the throw, right? And because we're throwing them occasionally, because we're yoga firing them occasionally, because we're yoga flaming them occasionally, and because sometimes we do nothing, our opponent just won't really know what to do when we hit them. We should also practice using back heavy punch occasionally, especially when our opponent is far away, right? That's going to be the main one. If you see your opponent jump from downtown, this isn't going to reach, but the big hands are, right? So get in the habit of doing that. And we want to practice that with those drills where our opponent's just walking around doing random drive impacts, doing random jumps, and we're going to practice beating those two things. Then we talked about the fireball trap, occasionally using arch and slide to get space, occasionally using yoga fire to get space, dashing in behind it. And then we talked about our big teleport combo into level 1 super, and we also talked about using drive reversal. That was not impressive, so I was too slow there. All right, drive reversal is going to be your best friend. I think if you can get those 5 things down, you'll get way beyond rookie iron and beginner. You'll get to gold, I would say. But join me before then in the bronze video where we talk about basic punishes. See you there.